I'm a 14 here at Dartmouth, and I'm an environmental studies major and a studio art minor. So I was spending my winter in my hometown outside of Boston, and I was working in our Governmental Planning Office. It's a very small office, but I had the great opportunity to work directly with our town planner and also our town planning board. And one of the big goals was completing our master plan. So we're just in the process of sort of reworking our guidelines for growth going forward. And then a big part of that is a study we're doing right now in our downtown, on our town center. And we were looking into the economic revitalization of that area, and also looking into rezoning with form-based codes, which would be codes that prescribe kind of the aesthetics of the buildings as well as their massing and location. I am very interested in sustainability as well as design, thus the environmental studies major and studio art minor, and I'm trying to go into sustainable urban planning in the long run. And I was fortunate enough to know from my hometown that we'd received a grant from the Massachusetts Smart Growth Alliance to pursue new sustainable development policies and practices through our planning office as part of a Great Neighborhoods project. So I actually just printed out my resume and walked into our town planning office, introduced myself as a Dartmouth student and a former Winchester High student, and let them know that I was really interested in these sustainable design policies and practices, and that I was interested in getting involved in their Great Neighborhoods project and helping out the planning office in any other capacity they might need. So I think the most exciting part of my internship for me was the opportunity to write a series of short articles for our local newspapers to give the community a little bit more insight into the motivations and goals of the projects we were working on for sustainable smart growth in the downtown. It was a little bit intimidating for some folks in the community to think about increasing the density of our downtown, bringing in new businesses, and allowing taller buildings to be built and things like that, because there was nervousness about changing the character of the town, which is very important to creating a place-based community and maintaining a strong identity as a community. So it was really wonderful to have an opportunity to engage with the community through these articles and explain the goals and motivations of the planning board and planning office to enrich that character through growth, and also help build a stronger sense of place and identity for the community through those projects. I think it was really good for me to have this experience because for me personally, I'm very interested in urban planning and design, and this was very much focused on the planning side. My job in the planning office was looking a lot more at maps and distribution of housing in town and the concentration of businesses in the downtown area, and it was very, very interesting and I enjoyed it. But I found that I'm someone who likes to think spatially a lot as well, so that I was very engaged with the conversations we had with the conceptual design firms that we had come into our different planning board meetings and present, and we put out a couple different RFPs, requests for proposals, that were actually to get different design firms from the area to develop these conceptual designs. What could Winchester Center be if we changed some of the coding to allow for more housing in the downtown and make it more pedestrian, lively scene? So that was really, really exciting, and I think I actually found that I was much more interested in being on the design side of that. So I think it was a good experience for me to learn the planning basis, but I think it's helped me decide that I would like to, for my next internship, go onto the design side and kind of compare the two, and maybe ultimately try to find an area of work that would allow me to bridge the two areas. I think I learned a lot more about how a small town government planning office works, which is if you go into planning, if you get a degree in planning, you're most likely going to be in some sort of small, even if it's suburban or urban, planning office, and that there were a lot more hoops to jump through than I anticipated, and I was lucky in that we had a great planning board and a really, really brilliant town planner to work with. But I think a lot of communities struggle with inadequate resources in that area, and we just received a grant, so we had wonderful, wonderful opportunities, and it was a great time to be in the planning office. But I got the sense from my experiences there in the environment that it's not always so easy to, through this governmental agency, really enact the sort of change that I would like to be a part of. So that made me become a little bit more interested in the private sector, I think, and opportunities that the private sector can bring to the kind of public sector. So I became very focused over my internship and through my supplemental readings and blog followings and everything as a result in public placemaking, and I've kind of decided to focus my studies and career path going forward on public placemaking for community development. I got it with an open mind. I think really it's oftentimes hard to know what to expect from an internship, and I think that if you can find an opportunity where you're going to have the chance to work with different people in your field, but also explore a little bit about your own interests. I think it's actually really good if there's a little bit of room within your internship to explore your own ideas. So for the summer I'm looking at some opportunities that would allow me to do my own independent research within an organization. And I think that's really important, that if there's an opportunity for you to learn from others as well as be producing your own research as you experience that environment, I think that's really nice. It can be kind of a positive energy.